like its predecessor, the GL class. The 2017 Mercedes-Benz GLS remains one of the most composed full-size SUVs on the market. Its independent suspension and standard air springs are tuned for a pillowy ride, making it better at isolating road surfaces than the Cadillac and GMC full-size utilities of the same size with their live rear axle. From behind the wheel, the GLS feels and drives like a much smaller vehicle, a C-Class sedan, perhaps, though you will be quickly reminded of its immense size when trying to park it. But light steering makes it relatively easy to place, and the 40.7-foot turning circle is surprisingly tight, making it easier to thread the big SUV even around the narrow hairpin turns of our test drive in the Austrian Alps. The ride is good, courtesy of standard aromatic air suspension on every version. Some body roll is evident on corners, though the optional active curve system uses active adjustment on the front and rear anti-roll bars to reduce the degree of roll. But because it counters some of the natural body motion that drivers expect as they press the GLS into tighter curves, we prefer the regular setup. We also prefer the standard wheel and tire combination, at 19 inches, rather than the larger options with lower profile tires, which seem to add some jiggle to the ride. The steering feel on versions with the standard wheels doesn't feel too loose or light, but it's not overly graced with feedback, either. The variable ratio rack provides different response at low speeds than it does at higher ones. 3 different powertrains are offered in the 2017 Mercedes-Benz GLS, a 362 horsepower 3.0-liter V6, a 449 horsepower 4.7-liter V8, and, finally, a 577 horsepower 5.5-liter V8 in the AMG Performance model. As in the prior GL, all 3 engines are turbocharged. Sitting out for now is the GLS 350D, a turbodiesel model that was announced early on but has been postponed. All but the AMG version power the wheels through a new 9-speed automatic transmission, with the company's 4MATIC all-wheel drive system standard. The greater output of the GLS 63 AMG engine, almost 600 horsepower, requires retention of the older 7-speed automatic. The 2 smaller gasoline engines will represent the bulk of sales, and the AMG model will likely be the lowest volume version. All of the engines suffer at least a small degree of turbo lag, and the larger number of ratios in the new 9-speed transmission mean that for maximum power, that short, tight, uphill freeway on-ramp, say, the engine spools up while the transmission shifts down 2 or even 3 ratios. It all works. But rising fuel economy laws mean even the big GLS is tuned to low for long under 2,000 revolutions per minute anytime the driver isn't accelerating. The dynamic select rotary dial on the console provides up to 6 drive modes, depending on how the vehicle is optioned. All 2017 GLS versions come with comfort, sport, and slippery modes as standard, along with an off-road mode and an individual setting to customize drive settings, which we think few buyers are likely to do. An optional off-road engineering package adds a 6th mode, Off-Road Plus, that takes advantage of a locking center differential and an additional reduction gear to provide steady travel at low speeds on particularly tricky terrain. It also adjusts the ride height to lift the GLS from its standard 8.5 inches of ground clearance to a full foot. Switching into sport mode while on the road gives an immediate surge of power. And not only does the suspension tighten but the steering weight gets heavier. It's possible to hustle the big SUV through traffic at surprising speeds in sport mode, as long as you're confident you know its dimensions. But comfort is likely to be a better choice for most uses, especially longer family trips. It'll also be better for fuel economy. The slippery mode made the GLS sure-footed even on the icy and snow-covered mountain lanes of the Tyrolean Alps. The big SUV behaved perfectly heading downhill at speeds of 25 to 35 miles per hour through rutted and powdery snow, and the anti-lock brakes were fully capable of stopping the car in remarkably short distances. Its slippery road capabilities, in fact, exceeded the comfort level of one reviewer who grew up driving far less capable vehicles in just the same sort of conditions. The Mercedes GLS is able to deliver far faster speeds on slippery and snowy roads than equivalent vehicles of earlier generations, all thanks to powerful computing, complex electronic engine, transmission, and suspension control programs, and reams of digital sensor data to inform it all.